Hello, I'm Paul French, Director of Southern Oregon Repertory Singers, and we're here with our ongoing series of short interviews with choir members, Glimpses of Beauty. Uh, the beauty of the music, of course, but also the beauty of our singers, because as a conductor, we're just sort of being silly in a room if there's nobody singing. So welcome to Nick Tennant, one of our amazing basses in the group. How are you doing, Nick?
All things are going pretty well. I've had a couple of health issues during the last year, but I think they're resolved now, and I can breathe, and I can hardly wait to start singing again.
Boy, isn't that the truth? Well, a nice thing about a community group such as Repertory Singers is that we're with each other for the long term. And when I moved to town in the early 19th century, I went to a
19th century. Okay.
Shakespeare Green show, and it featured you singing one of those big macho, I think it was a virelay, uh, and I was really impressed. I said, this guy sings, it's a beautiful voice and the conviction and the musicality. Uh, and so I was so thrilled later on when we started to be able to work together. Do you remember that far back?
Uh, you know, I really, I can't remember when I first became involved with repertory singers. I remember what prompted it, though. There was a concert at the Congregational Church in Midford, the one that looks like a boat turned upside down.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what year that was, but I attended that concert and I was just blown away. I thought that was one of the finest groups ever. And immediately after the performance, I went backstage and plugged my name into the, gee, I'd like to do this.
Well, we're so happy you did. I mean, you you were so interesting. You've done just about everything. You've had all these careers, and through the whole thing, you've sung at this incredibly high level. I mean, how did you manage to do all of that?
Oh, well, I, I feel like I've been singing all my life, and I had some good teachers along the way, but mostly it's just practice, 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 I guess. Something that's been sorely lacking for a little while here, but I don't really have enough self-discipline to really crank it up. It's a little like athletic training, you when you're trying to put it when you're trying to put a voice together, you have to think about everything a lot. It's like somebody once told me that flying an airplane is really very simple. You just have to know about 100 different things. The trouble is you have to think about all of them all at once, all the time while you're flying. And so at the beginning, singing is like that, but then you get it into your muscle memory, and you don't have to think about everything you're doing at every moment. You can spend more of your thought process on the interpretation and things like that. When you don't sing for a long time, some of that goes away. It's like losing your skill at a foreign language unless you actually get to speak it frequently. So again, I'm really anticipating getting to sing again. I love this group so much, and I love every person in it so much. I can hardly express it. It's just been one of the finest things in my life.
Well, you're such a good example of someone who's sung their whole life, which is how it should be. You know, often people they sing in high school and maybe then they put it away. And I guess they don't realize, hey, I could do this for longer.
Yeah, I was always in thinking of high school. I was always jealous of the athletes, who they were, you know, these macho types and very popular, blah blah blah. And I realized a little later on that, well, their careers probably are going to be pretty short in that regard, and mine was just beginning. You can sing, you can pretty much sing as long as you want to. You can't play football as long as you want to.
Yeah. Well, and singing, those that don't sing, I think you had talked about you're thinking 1,000 things at the same time. I mean, it's so true. We do all the things that say, an orchestral player would do in terms of notes and rhythms and articulations and counting and timbre, you name it. But then we do it in like 6 or 7 different languages, which is a huge ask.
Well, and the not in any way to disparage the amount of learning and skill it takes to play an orchestral instrument, but the instrument is there. You need to learn how to use it. When you're a singer, you are the instrument, and you're constantly making the instrument at all times, and it's it's a little different experience.
Yeah, it's well, clearly you have figured it out. I mean, you have this beautiful speaking voice. You sound like the voice of God, and you know, a number of us, when we hear you speak or recite something, we say, "Oh my God, that's. I hope God sounds that good." And you've transferred it over into your singing. You've been such a backbone of the group. I mean, as a conductor, I was, there are many things that are conductor driven, but the sound comes from the singers. And I like to say that I'm a prism for the light from the choir. I focus your sound, but to have this beautiful, beautiful instrument, then all this passion and thought and intelligence in your singing, um, that's everything. That's why the group sounds good.
It's it is far and away the best group I have ever sung with, and excuse me. The, I obviously I enjoy singing whatever. I enjoy singing in the shower. I enjoy singing a solo, but the thing that really gets me going is ensemble singing with other singers. You make a sound there that's more than just the sound. There, I don't even know how to describe it exactly, but it makes even in rehearsals, sometimes it makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck. It's just it's a totally different experience from just singing by yourself. The concentus is everything.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I did, I did a fair amount of solo singing when I was younger, uh, but it wasn't ever really, it wasn't never my passion. Singing with other people is really, it's incredible. There's nothing like it. Fortunately for us too, I like to say we're living in the golden age of choral music with all this amazing music being written. We have so much to draw on.
It's absolutely true, and you have managed to somehow find these things and present them through this group, and it really astonishes me sometimes how absolutely overwhelmed our audiences have been when they presented this. I mean, a lot of our audience, I'm sure, is familiar with classic repertoire, but not meaning that in a historical sense necessarily, but the newer music probably hasn't hit their ears and their mind, and here it comes from you and this marvelous group, and it's just overwhelming sometimes. I I'm such a sucker for some of this stuff. I've even in rehearsals sometimes I feel like, God, you keep it under control, Nick, so you don't burst into tears here. It's just it's so amazing and wonderful, and the very fact that some of our performances have prompted the composers from all over the world to say, "Oh, I've just done something new here. Paul, would you and your repertory singers like to do this new thing for me?" Wow, that says worlds.
Well, it's amazing, and it's a small world, and we're so connected now. The internet is amazing in that regard. One of the composers we've performed a lot that we both love is Morton Lordson,
Yes.
an Oregon native, and we're featuring on this episode his beautiful piece, Ya Eres Mia, uh, a poem by Neruda that's a love song, and Valentine's Day is coming. And it's in Spanish, and your Spanish is really, you say that it's not very good, but it's so much better than most of us, that you were so helpful in the rehearsal process. I'm going to read just the beginning of this poem because it's just, it's amazing. And now you're mine, rest with your dream in my dream. Love and pain and work should all sleep now. The night turns on its invisible wheels, and you are pure beside me as a sleeping amber. I mean,
Yeah, this is one of the ones that brought me to tears. And when we did it in front of an audience, I really had to, you want to react emotionally, but you can't just let it blubber over.
yeah, especially as a singer. I mean, you could tear up and continue to play the piano, but if you tear up and you're singing, your throat
Exactly.
and you're done. Well, I thought of you and this piece because it begins with the men uh, singing quietly those words that I just read. Then the women come in, and we are so fortunate to have men that really sing and can put out this beautiful sound. And I was struck watching the clip last night. Uh, the the camera will pan the choir, and they panned over the women section as the men were singing, and they were just going, they were just drinking it in. And I thought, how lucky we are to have found one another, all of us, and our audience that makes all of this possible as well, that we get to make great art and beautiful things in our area. And that's what it's all about, right? Make the world better where you are. And I want to thank you for your help in that, and our audience for being part of Team Beauty, I guess. And
Well,
we can't wait to sing for you again.
well, indeed, I just full of anticipation. And while we're throwing out compliments, I have to say none of this would be happening without you, Paul. It's this we're pretty fortunate to have you here, because this little bubble of Southern Oregon is not one of the world's great metropolitan centers of much of anything, and and yet we're doing this music, and it's you that makes it happen. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Nick. That means a lot coming from you. We all do it together, and we can't wait to sing for you again. And thank you for supporting us through this terrible time in the arts. We hope that this piece and the beauty of the poetry and the music will bring you a glimpse of beauty. Take care till we can see you in person.